morning, everybody. Sorry we had to stop listening to Bruno Mars, but we do want to get our webinar started this morning. I'm Kristen from Archie. I'm part of the executive office team at the California Student Aid Commission, and I have the pleasure of being the first one to welcome you to this morning's webinar. Today we're focusing on Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander student populations. As you'll see in the chat, we've invited you to use that to share the school site or location where you're joining us from. Like to see where everyone hails while they're with us throughout the webinar. The next slide, please. All right, get to talk to you about logistics. We will endeavor to have you out of here and on your way by 10 o'clock this morning. If you have questions, we ask that you please use the Zoom Q&A feature. We have staff standing by, ready and waiting to respond. As you may have noticed when you joined, we are recording this webinar, and it will be posted both on our YouTube channel and our website. And in terms of resources from this meeting, we'll start with toggling captions on and off if you need those. In addition, resources will be that would include the slide deck, a recording, and the Q&A will be posted on our website, and all attendees today will receive a follow-up email. And finally, we invite you to join us on social media, and our handles listed right there at the bottom. Next slide, please. So for anyone who may not be familiar, California Student Aid Commission is the principal state agency responsible for administering financial aid programs for public, private, and technical schools in California. All that's to fulfill our mission of promoting educational equity by making post-secondary education affordable for all Californians. So on behalf of CSAC, we are thrilled and happy to have you here with us today. We can move to the agenda, please. So today you will hear opening and welcome remarks from the California Student Aid Commission's Chief Deputy Director, Catalina Missler, our very own Commissioner, Dr. Chow Vang, and Khadija Alam, the Executive Director of the California Commission on Asian and Pacific Islander American Affairs. Then you'll be hearing from our own Tae Kang. He will be sharing some of his personal journey, also some resources, as well as moderating today's panel. The panel's featuring Dr. Arnold Paguio, Andrew G., and Dr. Xiao Dao. With that, we will wrap up with Chief Deputy Director Catalina Missler. And now I hand it off to Catalina to get us started. Thanks, everyone.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Welcome. May is a very busy month, especially for those of you who are helping in the graduation ceremonies at your campuses and just all of the events that come with that. So proud of the work that you all do, and congratulations as you have been part of that process to getting students through and getting them ready to either go from high school and transition into higher education or from higher education into employment. So we give you all of the respect and the love that you deserve for the work that you do with students. And as we are today celebrating and uplifting Asian American, Native American, and Pacific Islanders. And again, we have this through our student success, through financial aid access. We know how important financial aid is to these students that are going on and continuing their education. And California, we're proud to be the home of over 7 million Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islanders, which are among the fastest growing ethnic population in the state. And we want you to know that we are here. The California Student Aid Commission is here to help support these students and to help support all of the advocates that work with these students. And we're here by providing resources that are made available to immigration impacted students. And we want you to learn all about the resources that we have under the California DREAM Act application and the options for mixed status families. So we want to, again, we have a Student Aid Commission. We have the Student Success Blueprint. That's main 3 goals are access, support, and success. And we are here to provide the support to students, families, institutions, and all those who are supporting students in this journey. So through these monthly webinars, we invite individuals who have lived experiences in the population that we are uplifting. And today we have our very own California Student Aid Commissioner, Chow Vang. Commissioner Vang serves as the Associate Vice President for the Student Success and Academic Excellence at the California State University, Sacramento. He brings over 15 years of progressive leadership and a myriad of educational experiences in the K-16 system, having served in the Thomas Unified School District and Sacramento City Unified School District. And most recently, he served as the Assistant Vice President for Student Success. And under his leadership, the university received designation by the National Association of Student Personnel Administrators and the Suter Foundation as a first forward serving institution for its commitment to advanced first generation student success. Dr. Vang is a former first generation and a four-time alum of the university, receiving his doctorate in educational leadership and policy studies, master's degree, teaching credential, and undergraduate degree from California State University. And with that, I'm welcoming, good morning, Dr. Vang.
Thank you so much. Good morning and welcome to the California Student Aid Commission's webinar, Opening Doors, Advancing AANHPI Student Success Through Financial Aid Access. I am Dr. Chow Vang. I currently serve as Associate Vice President for Student Success and Academic Excellence at California State University, Sacramento, and Commissioner with the Student Aid Commission. I want to thank you all for being here today and for the work you do in supporting our students and their families. This month, the Commission is uplifting Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander histories and their educational impact. Many AANHPI students face language barriers, cultural stigma, asking around for help, and limited awareness of available financial aid resources. Though some AANHPI students have relatively high degree attainment rates, this aggregated data shows deep disparities within the diverse AANHPI community, leaving students from underserved without targeted outreach or support. Now more than ever, students and families need support from us, such as immigration services and informed decision to attend college or training programs. As a beneficiary of financial aid throughout my entire time in college, I continue to live through my identity as a child of immigrant parents. My parents came to the United States from Thailand in 1979. I grew up in Stockton, California, in a Hmong family with 10 siblings, including myself. My upbringing shaped my college career pathway by teaching me that education is a great equalizer. As a first generation college student, I became a four-time alum of California State University, Sacramento, earning my doctorate, master's degree, teaching credential, and undergraduate degree there. My advice to first generation AANHPI student is to apply for financial aid, and you must pursue your college and career dreams. There are strong networks of resources and support systems available to help you. Thank you to our speakers today, Executive Director Khadija Alam, Director Dr. Arnold Pagio, Director Andrew G., and Dr. Chow Dao for sharing your story and resources today. Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander contribute to the rich diversity of California with the unique needs. California State Aid Commission and our partners remain a resource to support these students throughout their college journey. Please encourage students and families to apply for financial aid using the FAFSA or California Dream Act application, and let them know that it is safe to complete a financial aid application. The Commission remains student-centered and a resource to help financial aid professionals, students, and families make informed decisions on financial aid. We are here to help you. Thank you for being here, and I would like to return it back to Executive Director Dr. Gonzalez.
Thank you, Commissioner Vang. I definitely know that you are someone who's passionate and dedicated about the work that you do. And I know you work long hours to help students succeed in their higher education. So thank you for all of the work and your dedication, the passion that you have for this work. Next, I'd like to introduce Khadija Alam, who is the Executive Director of the California Commission on Asian and Pacific Islander American Affairs. Khadija Alam is the first South Asian woman to serve as the Executive Director of the California Commission on Asian and Pacific Islander American Affairs. She has over 18 years of experience in California public policy and public relations, and she has driven transformative change, advanced legislation, and secured billions in state budget investments. Her work has advanced equity and opportunity across the state. Khadija was named as one of the 2024-25 AAPI Changemakers of the Year by the Sacramento Bee and she is proud to represent and serve her community. She serves on the advisory boards of the University of California, Center Sacramento, the California State University Student Achievement Program, CSU SAP. Khadijah's journey as an immigrant to driving impactful policies reflects her resilience, her vision, and commitment to public service. She's a proud graduate of UC Berkeley, and she is dedicated to building a more inclusive and equitable California while inspiring others to lead with purpose and passion. With that, Khadijah.
Thank you so much. Can you guys hear me? Oh,
Yes.
perfect. Okay. Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone, and happy Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. I want to thank Chief Deputy Director Catalina Missler, Dr. Chow Wang, and the California Student Aid Commission for your leadership and commitment to expanding educational access and opportunity for all Californian students. I also want to acknowledge all of our incredible partners joining us today, including Asian Pacific Americans in higher education, Asians American Advancing Justice Southern California, along with educators, counselors, and advocates who are committed to supporting our AANHPI students' success. My name is Khadija Alam Javed, and I serve as the Executive Director of the California Commission on Asian and Pacific Islander American Affairs. And to make it short, I'll be calling our commission is also called CAPIA. Our commission advises the governor and the legislature on political, economic, and social issues impacting AANHPI community throughout California. Our work spans educational equity, health equity, language access, civic engagement, higher education, of course, and public policy to help ensure AANHPI communities are represented and supported across state systems and services. Access to higher education is a priority for our commission. Our commission partners closely with CSU and the community colleges' student achievement programs to ensure success of the program and for our API students. Through the historic program, we provide culturally responsive services to enhance student educational experiences and promote higher education success for low-income, underserved, and first-generation AANHPI students and other underrepresented students across CSU and community college campuses. Conversations like today are so very important because they help ensure students are not overlooked and that resources, outreach, and support systems reflect the diversity and the needs within our communities. One of the reasons this conversation is so important to me personally is because I understand how transformational education can be. Like many first generation and immigrant families, the path to higher education is not always straightforward. For many students, especially those navigating college for the first time, and their families, and the financial aid process can feel intimidating, confusing, and overwhelming. I know it all firsthand, as I was an immigrant from Pakistan, first person to go to college in my family in the country, navigating the system myself. My parents had no idea. I had a hard time navigating FAFSA, which was a financial aid, which financial aid to apply for. I qualified for all of it, but I didn't know. Thanks to a little program called Educational Opportunity and an amazing human named Eddie who helped me navigate the financial aid system. It was the only way I was able to apply to colleges, go to college, and get through college. So this is really, really meaningful conversation for me. Many students are balancing school, multiple jobs, caregiving responsibilities, and financial aid stress all at once. Some are translating FAFSA or CAT applications for their parents. It is so very true in the AANHPI community. And I know that because I did that myself. Others may come from mixed status households or immigrant families where there is fear, hesitation, or uncertainty around sharing financial information or navigating government systems. And for families with limited English proficiency, simply understanding where to begin can become a major barrier. And I know that for a fact that this is a huge barrier. Language access is a huge barrier in many in AANHPI communities who are applying for FAFSA or financial aid. One of the issues that continue to be a priority for our commission is disaggregation of data. Lack thereof can hide the realities many AANHPI communities face. While some may assume AANHPI students are universally successful, The truth is that many within the ANAPI umbrella, including Southeast Asian, Pacific Islander, refugee, low income, first generation, and underserved students continue to face significant educational and financial disparities. Nearly 60% of API students in households reported that FAFSA process is difficult. A major barrier in many API communities households is that English is not the primary language, yet application forms are very complex. That is why culturally responsive outreach, targeted support, and greater visibility for underserved communities within the broader ANAPI umbrella is so very important. We are so appreciative of the California Student and Commission's efforts to provide targeted resources for ANAPI students and families, whether through FAFSA and CADA guidance, Cal Grant support, scholarship opportunities, or multilingual outreach, specifically for undocumented immigration impacted students. And yes, there are so many undocumented ANAPI students in California, and we get lost in that bigger conversation. At our commission, we also remain committed to connecting communities with resources, elevating issues impacting underserved students, and advocating for policies that improve educational success, outcomes, affordability, and long-term success for our students. Thank you again to the Student Commission and all of you today, all of our partners for convening this important discussion and making our commission part of it. I hope we continue to partner with you all to make education accessible for all of our students. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Executive Director Alam, for sharing your personal story and just with the work that the commission does to really help uplift these students. And thank you, Dr. Vang, Commissioner Vang, for sharing your story and really grounding us in this webinar. Next slide. So, good morning again to everyone. My name is Tae Kang. I am the Deputy Director of the Program Administration and Services Division here at the California Student Commission. I always share that I have the beautiful privilege of being able to oversee our largest program, our state financial aid program, the Cal Grant program, the Middle Class Scholarship Program, and also oversee the Dream Act the California Dream Act application. Um, but I didn't get to be in this position by accident. I know that as I look back at my own journey. I know that it was through a lot of hard work and a lot of support from my family and from many others, the mentors and the people who opened doors for me as well. Just wanted to share a quick story about myself. My story in many ways is a typical immigrant story shaped by my parents' sacrifice, resilience, and love after they came from South Korea to the United States in 1980. I was just 5 years old when we immigrated. And while I was too young to really understand their decision then, I now see how much they gave up to create a better life for my sister and me. With limited education and English skills, my parents worked tirelessly running small businesses like liquor stores and dry cleaners and janitorial services to support our family. And like many immigrant families, they worked long hours with few breaks, and my sister and I helped often at the businesses from a young age. Times were different back then, and I still remember standing behind the cash register at the age of 10, helping customers purchase their items. I'm sure that that resonates with some of you who have had similar experiences. Our family faced a lot of financial hardship, discrimination, personal tragedy, and the many difficulties of starting over in a new country. Yet through it all, my parents stayed focused on one goal, giving my sister and I the education and opportunities that they never had. Because of their sacrifice, my sister and I were able to graduate from UC San Diego and UC Davis, the first ones in our family to go to college and graduate college. And their journey taught me that AANHPI awareness is not only about celebrating culture and heritage, but also about honoring the perseverance and sacrifices behind so many immigrant stories. Their example is why we believe education can transform lives across generations and why creating spaces like today's webinar matters so much. here's the picture of my family at the UC Davis uh, field. I was so such a long time ago, and I was much younger. Next slide. So, as we have heard from our prior speakers, as we look at the data, it's been underscored already that although AANHPI students are often perceived as having high educational attainment overall, aggregated data can mask significant disparities among diverse Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities. And many of these subgroups have college attainment rates below the national average, yet may be overlooked when broad AANHPI data is used. At the same time, many students face barriers such as language access challenges, cultural stigma around asking for help, and limited awareness for financial aid and student support resources. Together, these realities highlight the need for more targeted, culturally responsive outreach, better data practices, and tailored support to ensure underserved AA and HPI students are not left behind. And as you can see, it may be difficult to see here in figure two, the chart on the right. You will see some of the different populations that are well below the national average in terms of college attainment. And these are the subgroups that we are talking about. Next slide. And as we look back at the successful year of our FAFSA race to submit and FAFSA and CADA completion, we do want to highlight that amongst the Asian American overall population, there were still about 23% of students, high school seniors, that didn't complete their FAFSA or DREAM Act application. So we see them as unreached learners, students who had an opportunity to apply for financial aid, but for for reasons unknown, they didn't. So still a lot of work to do. And specifically in the Filipino population, we see that number grow a little bit, about 25% of students who were Filipino amongst the high school seniors that did not apply for a FAFSA or DREAM Act application. And then lastly, as I mentioned, the Pacific Islander and Native Hawaiian, they represent a pretty large group of students that do not access financial aid. And so a lot of work still to be done and thinking about how best to reach out to them and tailor our outreach to this group of students. 39%, that's still a big disparity and a lot of work left to do to reach out to these students. Next slide. And here's some resources that we wanted to also provide. We have this wonderful chart here that really summarizes the variety of different types of financial aid available to the AANHPI students. The Cal Grant, the Middle Class Scholarship, Golden State Teachers Grant Program, Foster Youth, the Chafee Grant for Foster Youth, and the DREAM Act Service Incentive Grant. Obviously, we have been in partnership with Cal Kids. And these are just some of our state financial aid programs. If you do a FAFSA, you will gain access to the federal Pell Grant. And then institutions, depending on which college or institution, will also, in many occasions, will provide institutional aid as well. We also do have FAQs that we have identified, so common questions that may have been asked for this population of students. I'm sure the FAQ is greater than this, but just some common questions. And so as you think about helping students in this population, please consider looking at these FAQs. Next slide. And some additional financial aid resources. As we do every single month, as we uplift different student populations, in May is the AANHPI. We have this wonderful document resource that we have for this group of students. You can find it on our homepage. You could definitely download it, and it'll be a great resource as you serve and help students. Um, and then it's not too late. We also have the September 2nd deadline for students who are seeking to attend perhaps the community college. The March 2nd deadline has passed, and that typically is our priority deadline for four-year institutions in terms of state priority financial aid. But the September 2nd deadline is still available for students seeking to attending community college. You can still gain access to our community college entitlement program, so a Cal Grant is still there. And the community colleges will also offer a variety of different financial aid, including the California College Promise Grants. Wanted to also just remind everyone of our campaign, I Heart California Dream Act campaign. As we heard from earlier, we have many students who in the AANHPI population who may be undocumented or be part of a mixed status family and haven't quite done their FAFSA yet. So the DREAM Act application is one way to also access state financial aid. Next slide. And just wanted to also finally just share each of the different public higher education segments have their own resources specifically to help the Asian American and Pacific Islander group. The community colleges, the CSU Chancellor's Office, and UC Office of the President. We have the links here, and you can go to them. If a student is attending a private institution, I'm pretty sure that at the particular institution, they will also have dedicated resources for the students as well. Next slide. All right. So we are now at the panel presentation, and this panel brings together leaders within the AANHPI community to share perspectives on their experiences, challenges, and opportunities facing Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islander communities. Grounded in expertise across public policy, higher education, and civil rights advocacy, panelists will discuss how disaggregated data, culturally responsive support, and equitable access to resources can better serve AANHPI students and their families. This conversation will highlight disparities that are often overlooked while uplifting the diversity, resilience, and strength of AANHPI communities across California. So if I can have the panelists come and turn on your video. Great. So we have this morning we have three wonderful panelists: Dr. Honor Puguio, a board member of the Asian American in Higher Education at AANHPI, and the Director of Student Life at Chabot College. Andrew G., a Managing Director at the Immigrant Justice Unit and Asian American Advancing Justice, Southern California. And then Dr. Chow Dao, Accounting Officer of Financial Aid and Basic Needs Department at El Camino College. And I know Dr. Chow Dao has also had a deep history in financial aid in various positions as well. So thank you and welcome. And if I can just have you introduce yourself by just stating your name, organization, your hometown, and briefly state why you do the work that you do. So I'll start with Dr. Chow Dao.
Hello, everyone. Thank you for having me. Let's see. My story, how I got into financial aid. I'm at El Camino, but I've worked in various institutions from the UCs to private schools, and then also the CSU, and then also CSU Chancellor's Office, and then community colleges as well. So I'm currently at El Camino College. My story, how I got into financial aid, was that as a college student, my family ran into a situation where my dad actually got really sick and had a major stroke. While my brother and I were very close to finishing college. But at that time, we both decided that in order to really help my mom, we would needed to stop. attending school so that we can, help my parents. But when I let my college knew what was going on, the financial aid folks got together and told me, we're not going to let you quit, and that we're going to be able to help you through the appeal process, to help you. But then also they reached out to my brother's college because of the financial aid network. And so they were able to also help my brother and maintain or increase our financial aid, so that we had a plan to finish school. And when I saw the impact, right, of that, that can have on a family, I decided to ask my financial aid folks to see how I can get into the financial aid field. And that's how I continue to do this work today.
Thank you. Yeah, it's amazing to see how financial aid can change lives and how just a few people within financial aid offices can take the extra step to really help students like yourself. And now you're in financial aid, so that's an amazing story. Dr. Paglia?
Good morning, everyone. So thanks to the commission for having us, and thanks everyone for attending today. Arnold Paggio, the Director of Student Life at Chabot College, also on the Board of Directors for Asian Pacific Americans in Higher Education. I grew up in Houston, Texas, and did my undergraduate work there. And for me, getting into higher education, we'll maybe get into this a little bit more later, but uh, college was like two different worlds for me. And so I always found myself in leadership and organizational spaces, very affirmed and having a lot of great opportunities and success. And the academic realm was not that it for me at all. So I really struggled a lot with academics, feeling very isolated and unsupported in that. And so when I had the opportunity to work in higher education, I got my start in multicultural services back at my alma mater, which is really kind of that space for me and really trying to bridge those things, and really understanding the holistic development and the holistic opportunity for people to grow. So my background is in leadership development, and that is really what I like to see is college is an opportunity for students to become their best selves and to discover that really on both realms and really to get on track like that. So. And just grateful to have that opportunity and to continue the work along with my colleagues here.
Thank you so much for sharing your story. Uh, Andrew G.
Good morning, everyone. Andrew G, and I work for Asian Americans Advancing Justice Southern California. We're a legal nonprofit serving the greater Southern California area. My hometown is Anaheim in Orange County. And I guess as a lawyer who had a very, how do you say, sinuous path, a very windy path towards my nonprofit job here. So I started at a law school and worked at a top 25 firm. And I guess on paper, everything seemed to be working out. But 20 years later, I found myself in nonprofit. And now I'm working to direct three high impact immigration direct services teams in SoCal. Um, why am I doing it? I mean, long story, but as an immigrant myself, it was really a special opportunity, albeit way overdue, to connect my work, my day job, what I do, with an actual passion, a passion to serve my community, and really to be rooted into the identity of who I am. And again, I don't want to be long-winded, but I just do have to say that everyone here, panelists, administrators, all the attendees, I just really need to say how the high degree of respect that I have for each of you in this profession, the teaching profession or education administration, the influence that each of you have on every aspect of our society, or even the impact on a shy Korean Korean kid growing up in the 80s. I'm grateful for each and every one of you. Literally just the salt of the earth and within our communities. And I'm just forever grateful. So sorry, diatribe, but it's great to be here.
Thank you, Andrew. It looks like you had different plans, right? From going from corporate to nonprofit. But glad you're here. Thank you. And thank you for the work that you do. Um, Next question. How does your organization support AANHPI students and families combat fears and misinformation about either pursuing college, career training, or seeking help in their community? So let's start with you, Andrew.
Sure. So, specifically, working within immigration direct services, and just the volume of clients that we counsel, advice we intake, and try to help within the API communities. Uh, Specifically, we are living in a time where every day is a struggle against misinformation and fear. Uh, I mean, this I could see it from our perspective, right, in working in immigration law, but I can see how it applies across the board within social services. Uh, these fears and misinformation a lot of times is has the isolating effect uh, of telling insular communities that you should be living in fear, that there is no recourse, that even going to the grocery store or taking your kids to school or going to hospital, that's now optional in regards to your own safety. Um, and a lot of this, although some of it is grounded in truth, um, I think we would be falling into the narrative to say to be scared, to hide, to don't seek advice, don't seek resources that are here in the community to support you because we are here. And so much of that is number one, the isolating effect, the effect of fear and how it paralyzes. And that is why, even though we are very invested in our direct services, so much is also invested into educating the community to combat misinformation, right? To tell them of their rights. And that even in some instances, immigration cases, uh, sometimes to help yourself, it means to be out and about, right? And to be active within your community. So it's a difficult conversation, but certainly a conversation that our communities deserve. And it warrants a lot of attention, I think, from not only, ourselves, our organizations, but a lot of other nonprofits throughout our state.
Thank you. Dr. Puglia?
Yeah, I love the way you're framing that, Andrew. I think that's really important to see and understand how some of our institutions are creating the fear, right? And this is being manufactured also that there are places that are not safe for us to operate and to live and not meant to thrive. And so part of our mission really is to understand educational spaces as a spot that is safe, right? And it is a resource for you, and that those government resources that we will do that lifting for you to do the interaction with the government, and that we can do it in a safe way. And then specifically, kind of speaking to how PI operates, really operate on institutional levels, looking at institutions from like institutions of education and school levels, and also looking at institution and government levels, and working with the different commissions and legislators and policymakers to make sure that they are understanding the best practices that are out there. So our organization kind of focuses on three different pillars: educate, advocate, and advance. So educating and understanding the best practices and allowing educators to share these best practices and to highlight the great work that we're doing and the innovation that's happening, as well as the research that's coming out of our institutions and what we're seeing on the ground level, and really providing voice for that. And that is kind of what we use to advocate into the different systems, whether it's the political systems, the educational systems, and understanding that we are an environment where um, there's blatant discrimination against practices that are proven to work, and that is the playbook right now that is coming out of certain areas, that these things don't work, or under the guise of discrimination, saying that these things are not okay to do, when they are proven to be successful and to uplift our education and to uplift really everybody within the educational system when you're using equitable practices. And then thinking about how we advance, yes, advancing the AANHPI communities and higher education as a whole, but also educating the professionals who are going to be the decision makers and the policy makers, and helping them through professional development and mentoring, into doing that work and being able to create the right policies and to really advocate for our communities and for education as really as a public right.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing about Apahi. And Dr. Dow?
So, in terms of safe space, at El Camino College, we do have a very strong MANA program. It is open to all Asian American students. However, our focus here is for Native Hawaiian Pacific Islander, just because of the need of this group and where we are in Torrance area, concentrated for this population. So the college has done a tremendous job of providing a safe space, a physical space, right? So real estate on the college campus is always a fight. But there's a coordinator, dedicated staff. So coordinator, a specialist, and actually 3 academic counselors for this population. So it's amazing. And also 2 student mentors. So it's prepping, right? And training the next generation to help their own peers. And then also is, oh, I just lost my train of thought, but and then we also have a monthly open meeting for all staff and faculty members to provide concerns that they see or successes for this population or Asian American students. So with the coordinator of MANA, so then that way we can provide insight or anything or if they also need help as well. So I think El Camino has done a lot in terms of helping, not only for the Asian American student population, but for other student populations as well.
Thank you. Thank you all for your responses to that question. So moving on to our next question. When it comes to college access and student success, and for you, Andrew, immigration issues, when it comes to the immigration issues, what is one challenge that K-12 administrators and college professionals may not know in serving your community? So let's start with Dr. Paguio.
Yeah, I think the big thing on the college level is really acknowledging AANHPI communities as disproportionately impacted. And once you have that mindset, a lot of it comes together because we have a lot of great practices. Dr. Dow had a lot of amazing examples of things that we can be doing to be very intentional, to be culturally affirming with the practices that we are doing. But it really is that first step of acknowledging them as disproportionately impacted and then being able to commit the kind of time and energy and resources, and which is the other big piece to this is how many different burdens are put on us, especially through a dynamic world like financial aid, where things are always changing, where you get a whole lot more rules than you do instructions for the work that you're doing. It's putting in the time and the commitment, but also knowing that the results and how many amazing practices are already out there. I don't think that you have to be particularly innovative to be successful in this. I think it's a lot of work and partnership and just getting connected.
Thank you. Dr. Dow?
I think for me, my insight share in working with this population is to when you're having conversations with these students is validate their that their success, their definition of success doesn't have to fit into what society says is success or what the typical stereotypical Asian community success is. So when I speak to the younger generation, they appreciate that. And then it also assures their parents that, there's other ways of being successful, especially in the US, right? The American dream it doesn't look like what it has been sold to you, right? There are so many facets and so many avenues to reach your success. And so I think that conversation opens up a lot of it lessens the fear for these families, and then they can continue on with what it is that they really want to achieve. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense.
Oh, yeah, it totally makes sense. And I think, the definition of parental success for their children, especially in Asian American families, it's so different, right? And just trying to change that mindset is a lot to overcome, and it's sometimes very daunting. So, yeah, thank you for that insight. Andrew?
Sure. So a particular challenge oftentimes that's hard to kind of pinpoint is, you know, we have this very broad AANHPI community at large, but our immigrant experiences, there's a challenge in navigating just how diverse it is. And it's really hard to pinpoint that. Again, you might see someone who's Asian American, uh, but depending on, the migration path or how many generations has been here, the size of the communities, how entrenched they are, it's super diverse. Every family and specific community, it's just complex, and a lot of their experiences and how they ask for help and how they even it's nuanced. Um, and with this collective community, of AANHPI, I love it because there's shared strength. We find commonality and synergy between our communities, and we're definitely better together, for our common good. But the drawback of clustering all the beautiful diversity just into one acronym, we lose a sense of cultural complexity that is consistent with specific nationalities and narratives. Um, I mean, if we kind of analogize it to a really beautiful patchwork quilt, where it's this beautiful mosaic of fabrics, and each square is individually just so intricate and breathtaking, and you can see the whole blanket itself or the whole patchwork, and you're like, that is awesome. But if you ignore each square, then you're thinking like, then you're really missing out on the individual beauty of how it's all sewed together. So one size does not necessarily fit all. There can be glean context, but it is really intricate. And I know it's tough, but sometimes as educators or even legal professionals, just trying to do some homework on trying to understand context where there might be past trauma, migration patterns of trauma, or how folks have, eventually come to the country or might even be undocumented, right? It's really good to know to kind of do your homework and understand context. And in addition to that, um, we are now we live in a country where it the it's no longer the Gulf of Mexico. Now it's the Gulf of America, right? And the national language right now is English. But what I'm highlighting here is like language diversity and language access. It's being cut at the roots. And it doesn't make someone less American just because we might struggle with English. But within our Asian communities, we have thousands of tongues, more than thousands, right? And this lack of language access can really cut at the root, like means of communication and effectively reaching out to your communities. So again, sorry, that's quite a few challenges. I'll stop now, but just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, thank you, Andrew, for really identifying that, that though the communities may be clustered together, but there is uniqueness in each of the different groups. So thank you for raising that. And as we wind down this panel discussion, we have a few more minutes, and I'll ask you one final question, and if you could just do it very, very quickly. Um, as you leave this panel, what is the one piece of advice you would give financial aid administrators, college professionals, and higher education advocates to better serve Asian American, Native Hawaiian, and Pacific Islanders students seeking to attain training or career aspirations? So that one piece of advice, and if we could start with Andrew.
One piece of advice, I think I would just relate it back to my former point, right? Um, I think assumptions are just very, very dangerous at a certain point in time, and assumptions, although well-intentioned, can often marginalize, right? And I think a lot of the communities live by honor shame, right? They might be even not be very quick to correct something, but what can happen is with a lack of understanding or an unfortunate stereotype can kind of cut a relationship at the root, right? So we, my parents, right? A lot of our communities are just so rooted in community, and how it translates oftentimes to American society is they become a lot more distinct and insular, right? So definitely trust building can be a challenge. But I will tell you that as a Korean American that grew up next to the largest Vietnamese American population outside of Vietnam, right? It's possible, but it took a heck a lot of humility, some humble pie, and realizing I knew nothing, right? And now we can do clinics in Little Saigon, and I could hug folks in the community. And but the thing, it just takes work, right? So dude, that was way too long. I'm sorry. One piece of advice, I'll keep it to that. Yeah, and you can move on now.
Thank you, Andrew. And that's Little Saigon in Garden Grove, I'm assuming. Okay. All right. On to you, Dr. Priguio.
Yeah, I think a lot of great advice has been put out there. I think from where I sit, I think it's more appropriate to close with really an affirmation of the financial aid work, and the complexity that you deal with dealing with individuals and individual stories, and trying to shoehorn them into systems, right, and into policies and into uh, efficiency and trying to make both the things and navigate all of those things. And so that's why I always feel like a lot of the tools are there, and that, it's advocating for institutions to really push you and really put you in a position to succeed. I guess I would have one word of advice is not to go it alone, because there are partners out there to help you, and to the student that means a lot, because when they see a college representative or a school representative, they see the school there, right? And they're going to recognize those things. And so when you're holistic in that, everyone really benefits. Your colleagues will benefit, and then the communities and the individual students will see that as well.
You. And to close us out, Dr. Dao.
Okay, so I'm on my 30th year in financial aid. So my advice is help financial aid folks find that gray area. Um, in policy and regulations, especially now with financial aid, with all the changes, and it seems like, oh, it's getting tighter and tighter. There's always gray area where we can find that gray area and write our own policy, institutional policy, where you're still in compliance. And then it also works for certain populations. Right. So I think that is how we use our experience in working with others, right? Like others have said, like we can't work alone. Financial aid folks, we are always networking with each other to write policies. We ask each other, but we also work within our institutions with different coordinators and programs. So if you have any questions about different policies, or you think it doesn't work for a certain population, reach out and ask. And then it could be that we need to tweak the policy a little bit so that it works for certain populations, right? Sometimes we don't know, but that would be my insight.
Thank you. And thank you, Dr. Dow, Dr. Priguio, Andrew, for your sharing your advice, your insight, your personal experience, and what fuels the work that you do. So thank you so much for that. Next slide. Advance to the next slide. So we wind down these webinars. So call to action. Just a couple of them applied for financial aid by the September 2nd deadline. Again, for students, we saw In the numbers, there's still many students who haven't done their FAFSA or DREAM Act application. And if they're interested in going to community colleges, encourage them, apply by September 2nd. Join the iHeartCADA campaign, again, for students who are undocumented or students who may be in a mixed status family. And then check out our AANHPI resources that we have out for in our homepage. Next slide. And then I will hand it off back to our Chief Deputy Director, Catalina.
Thank you, Tay. And thank you. I'm just inspired with all the stories and just I can hear the passion that you have in the work that you do. And it's amazing. And I'm really, really proud of the institutions who have taken those steps to create spaces for these students so that they know that they can trust and be able to talk to someone and someone who relates to them. So that is so important for students to be able to get through the process, knowing that there's someone there who cares and who truly wants them to succeed. So I appreciate all of your stories and the work that you do. And I just from your stories, I know why you do it. So thank you. Thank you for being around for all those years too. You could be somewhere else, but your heart is here in the work you do because you see the importance and the significance of how you make a difference. Appreciate all of you. So just want to remind everyone, next slide again, just to continue to go to our website, visit our website for all the resources that were described today. There's many resources to help you with those students that you work with and these families. Attend free Train the Trainer or Cash for College workshops. We're here to provide you with training so you get an understanding of the programs we administer, how things work, and be able to provide that guidance to students and families. Sign up for our listserv. These are our emails that we send with update information on what CSAC is doing in terms of the awards we're processing, special alerts on things that come up that are important to financial aid offices and students, and our executive memos as well. And then track the FAFSA CADA submission rates. I know we still have, there's the September 2nd deadline. That's what we're working on and focusing for those students who have not yet completed. We've sent communication, I think, to over 170,000 students. We sent a mail, snail mail to them and to their families to drop that on the table so that they know that there's still time if they haven't applied. So please make sure that if there's students who have not yet applied, give them the resources and help them through that process so that they can submit by September 2nd and qualify for a Cal Grant. Again, it's not too late. A lot of students think that March 2nd was the only deadline they've missed. I still hear it myself from neighborhood families. And so just remind them it's not too late. If they're going to community college, there's still the September 2nd deadline. So appreciate everyone. Thank you for all your work. Thank you for all you do. And we'll see you next month.